All right, so when we deal with the Ten Commandments, we usually think that God really just sort of made up 10 arbitrary rules and wants us to behave according to them. We might even come to see that the Ten Commandments teach us something about ourselves, that we're sinners because, well, when we're given the commandments, I don't know, honor your father and mother, we don't. So we learn something about ourselves. We need help. We need Jesus. But more than that, the Ten Commandments actually teach us about our God. It happens other places too. The rules that we have, they're a revelation of our character. The rules that we have in our homes, in our jobs, they tell us something about the culture, the people who make those rules. So like in my house, there's an 11th commandment. The 11th commandment is simple. Thou shalt not touch the stove. Very simple. It glows, it's pretty. I had little kids that really wanted to, but I didn't make this up as an arbitrary rule. I made this because I want them kept safe. When you go in my car, there's a rule. No country music. And from that, you'll learn that I have good taste in music. When you actually look at the laws as a revelation of the lawmaker, you learn something. And this is true in the Ten Commandments, too. Look to the first commandment. You shall have no other gods before me. And this, yes, does mean that we're sinners who have idols and lots of things, but also, this means that you have a God who actually really wants to be your God. You have a God who insists, don't have any other gods because I want to be your God. You have a God who gives you that gift that's sort of like when my mom would say, don't spoil your dinner with Cheetos because I want to give you something better than Cheetos. Yes, as a sinner, I ate the Cheetos, but the whole point was I had a mom who loved me so much that she would make good gifts for me. The second commandment, you shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God. This doesn't just mean don't cuss. This means that God gives you his name, and his name is so powerful that he says be careful how you use it, because just like any other tool, when it's used for good, great good can come, but when it's used for evil, great evil can come. God gives you his name and wants you to have it. And he actually wants you to benefit from it. So he says, be careful how you use it. The third commandment, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. Yeah, skipping church is a sin, but also recognize you have a God who loves you so much that he would have you set aside a day just to be with you. Honor your father and your mother. That means that God actually wants to work good through your parents even though they are sinners. He wants you to find them as gifts from him, because when we find honor coming up short in the sins of our parents, we can look to God and say, he gave us those. He could have given us any other people in the whole wide world, but he gave us those and has promised to work through them, and that you are standing here today, as many issues as you might have with them, God worked good through them simply to get you here. I'm just saying, do not murder. It's because God actually cares about your life. Don't commit adultery, because God actually might want you to have a healthy, happy family. And he would encourage that thing. Don't steal, because the stuff that God gave you, he wants you to have. You shall not bear false testimony about your neighbor, because God actually loves you so much, he cares about what people say about you. Don't covet, because if you spend all day focusing on what you don't have, you'll miss all of the gifts of what you do. When you see the Ten Commandments as a revelation of the rule maker, of the lawgiver, of God himself, you can actually find out that he loves us a whole lot. That these rules aren't given just to frustrate us from on high. They're actually given to keep us safe, because the God who loves us wants us, well, to receive blessings. And so even when we sin and fall short of this, it doesn't cancel out the commandments, because God still wants good for us. My mom still wanted good for me even when I ate the whole bag of Cheetos. It's just, look at how stupid we're being by turning away from that which saves and helps and builds towards that which destroys. And recognize, God wants more for us than for us to hurt and hurt each other.